Welcome back to Talk It Out. Today we're going to be discussing the 2016 Oscars. After the lack of diversity in the nominations, viewers across the nations were outraged, and many accused the Academy of racial bias. Joining us today is freshman film and TV production major Stevie Johnson and junior communication studies major Mary Lane, who is founding a non-profit organization to create diversity in this industry. Right. So what do you guys think? Do you think that the Academy nominations were influenced by racial preference, or do you think that there was actually a lack of diversity in the movies themselves?
I think it's both. The reason I say it is because I'm like a very active moviegoer, so I saw almost all those that were nominated and also those that were not nominated. And the ones that I saw that were nominated, I guess you can say there was some diversity in the sense that those who you would call a minority played small roles though. And the ones that were not nominated, such as like Concussion, I saw Concussion, which was amazing. Will Smith, I mean, that accent was on point.
I know.
And also I saw the Netflix one, Beasts of No Nation, with Idris Elba.
Oh my god, that was amazing.
I mean, how can they not be nominated? Like, I feel like that's really mad disrespectful because their talent is just not being recognized. So it's like, what else can it be then? Because you can't be, I guess some people can be like, well, maybe their acting wasn't like to the top, but it really was.
It's just so like overt and out there. Like for Creed, I mean, Michael Jordan did not get nominated, and Sylvester Stallone gets it for for supporting actor. And I mean, it's not even that the performance is like his. I mean, Stallone definitely did a good job, but it's just like looking at it, it's just so blatant sometimes that Michael Jordan didn't get it because I think he was incredible.
I do. I think I agree with you guys that it's a combination of both. When it comes to the history of the nominations, I think there's only been 7 African-American women that have won, and the only roles that they won for were playing slaves in a submissive role, or they were unfit parents. And so not only is it the lack of representation within the system itself, but it's also the lack of roles that they're even given. And so I think that is really where the issue lies, is having proper representation within it, their roles that they're going to get. And people just higher ups within the industry, whether you're an actor or cinematographer, it'll shift. And so we can, people of different minorities, whether you're LGBTQ or an ethnicity, you'll be able to see yourself, as the young adults, you'll see representation of and where you can possibly go within the industry, and we just don't have that.
For sure. I was thinking, going kind of off what you said, straight out of Compton, like there was obviously so many African-American acts who were amazing. Like half the time I was like, is that the actual person playing the role? It was so good, but then the writer who was white was nominated. Yeah. And that's just like, wow.
I think there's a lack of diversity at all levels. I mean, starting all the way from who's actually writing the scripts to who's directing to the actors to all the way up to the Academy. I just feel like it's a small group of, not very diverse people. And I think it just creates a lack. I mean, it's a chain. Then there's like diversity. There's a lack of diversity in all levels. And I think that, like you were saying about, how people of color are portrayed in like just these like set roles, there's not enough representation in like, in just everyday, lives that people can actually relate to. Like, I'm Indian, and I don't see like anything that I can really relate to on TV. Like, it's either like super Indian and like very stereotypical, or it's like very disconnected from the culture, and there's no middle ground, and that no one can relate to that. Like, you can't put people in like these little boxes, like just because I feel like there's more diversity when it's the actors are white, like they could be anything, but then when it's people of color, they're very limited in like what they can do and what kind of characters they get. So that to me is like lack of diversity right there.
I feel like the bigger problem is with the Academy and the actual nominations. I also agree that the films aren't diverse enough in themselves, but if we look at the amount of diversity in films and then look at the amount of diversity in the nominations every year, it's a small fraction of that. And I really feel that it's because the Academy members don't necessarily have to watch the films, and so if they're old white guys that don't know much about the other kinds of films, they'll watch the films of the people they know and nominate those and vote for those, and then they keep perpetuating that rather than trying new films and trying to get new up and comers on and get awards. films.
About the Academy. So I got curious, like, when this was all happening. Like, I often question, like, okay, well, who is nominating then, right? Obviously, we're not voting, so it's like, who is it? So I did, like, Google. And, like, they don't disclose, of course, who, like, necessarily is in it. But what I found is that the LA Times did a study, and they found that the Oscars Academy is 94% Caucasian, and then only 2% African American, and less than 2% Latino.
There's so many other cultures and ethnicities in the United States. That's what we're built on, and the fact that we don't see that in media and in the movies it's 2016. So.
I mean, what do you guys kind of think is the solution to this? Because I think, it's just been perpetuated for so many years, and I think it's coming to a point where there is much more dialogue about racial tensions and discrimination at all levels. But, I mean, what is it going to be like moving forward? There's a lot of dialogue, but, I think that action needs to be taken. And, I mean, where does it come from? Where's it going to go?
Well, this conversation arose because of everything that's happening, and everyone's talking about it. And there was, the hashtag, there was Jada Smith who started the whole boycotting and people posting online about it. That the Academy is obviously going to freak out because of that, and hopefully that itself is going to, him freaking out is going to help make a movement. And also people that have won awards or are involved in the film industry saying that they're not going to be going to the Oscars, that's amazing. Being like, you know what, I'm going to, thank you for everything you've done, but I'm going to take a step back until you show me that you, respect us and that you want to put us in the running. And I think that's amazing. I think that's definitely, for sure, a step forward.
I feel that the step that we need to take is with the Academy itself, and I feel like there should be more rules regarding who can be in the Academy and who can be voting, because I don't think it's fair that non-active members of the Academy can vote on stuff when they're not even connected with the industry right now.
I mean, for me, that's how I got started with the nonprofit. Was we can talk about it all day, but without action, the system isn't going to change, and that's the hard part, and it takes the longest. And so I wanted to create an event where people who wanted to just stay away from the Oscars and picket it, basically, I wanted to give them an alternative event to go to, more of a cultural Oscars event, really. And instead of a competition, I wanted it to be highlighting people within the industry that have done significant works. And so that's what I'm leading up to. And then the proceeds are going to the nonprofit I'm starting for minorities to major within the arts. So that way in 10, 15 years, that shift will change and we'll be able to see the representation within the culture.
I really like that because just last week America Ferrera was here on campus.
Yes.
And she was talking about race and representation in the media. And something she said really resonated with me. And she was saying, and she has her own production company as well to give minorities a chance to be in the industry. And she was like, we shouldn't wait for anyone to give us a project or give us, a job, whatever. She said minorities need to take it into their own hands and just create your own content. I mean, we live in a world that's so digital and everyone has the ability just with an iPhone to create their own content and push it out there, because I think just with the way our digital media works nowadays, it's so easy to do that. And I think if minorities groups we all start creating our own content, putting it out there, if you have a story, which is what you're saying, she was write it, don't wait for someone else to write it, don't wait for someone else to direct it, you can do it yourself. And I think that's a really important point too, because unless I think we take a stand, we step forward, that's how diversity is created. So create that diversity.
If let's say that the reason they nominated these people is because they actually thought these people were the best to be nominated, do you think that they should still put African Americans in the nomination just because that is diverse? Do you think that they should do that, or do you think that it should be the nominees should be actually people that are the top in their opinion?
It's a competition. It should always be the best of the best. But I feel recently a lot of it's, we haven't nominated this specific actor or actress yet. We need to highlight them at this point. They've been in the industry for X amount of years. And so I think, there is some issues with who they're voting for. But I also believe that once there's representation within the voters, they're going to relate to the actors and to the roles. And so if you only have, white upper class men voting, who are they going to vote for? Those that they resemble and relate to. And so those are the roles that typically win.
I think it should be based on who genuinely did their best as in acting, because I feel like if they just nominate them based on how they look. I feel like they're not, it's like another form of not recognizing talent, because I feel like they're just throwing them in there like, oh, let's just put them on the list just because they look different, you know? And so, like, as far as like representation wise, like another solution that we can do is like not wait until another award show. Like, how about we start doing it now by not watching those films where we don't see ourselves being represented?
I think it's a question of like taking race out of the issue. Like, now race is an issue because of the lack of diversity, but if there was representation to begin with, then it would just genuinely be about who's talented and who, you know, really deserves the award. So I think, you know, take the race out of it. Like, it doesn't, you know, in a way, like, make the industry colorblind, but not in a way that's like, I'm not going to acknowledge your race and you're all the same, but to acknowledge diversity and acknowledge that and just have representation so that it is truly about the competition and about, you know, who is deserving of an award because of their talent.
I feel like the generation of filmmakers and film goers now is more open to like
Absolutely.
female characters and African American characters and whatnot. And it was interesting. I read an article about Star Wars Episode 7, and it was a huge commercial hit, and a black lead and a female lead, and that actually proved a lot about what we can do.
But do you think that, you know, the change should come from the top down or from the bottom up in terms of representation?
I feel like from the top down, because it's really like the board members and the actual people on there voting for the award. And even though we do need to get the diversity up in the films, I feel like naturally that'll happen, because like what's going on in television, more minority people and their stories are becoming more popular with audiences, and naturally that'll end up allowing them to make more content, because the studio heads and whatnot will want that because it's better for ratings and it's better for sales and it's better for all of that. So naturally that'll happen, but less naturally will be the Academy members. They'll have to be forced out actively.
I like to add that recently the Academy has actually responded to like what's going on. So the president, Cheryl Boone Isaac, she did a statement saying that they like are committed to double the number in diversity among the Academy members itself by 2020, though. By 2020. So it's like,
Well,
I mean, it's like, I'm glad you guys are making an effort, but it's like, let's see. Hopefully it changes. Hopefully she's not just saying this because it's like to just, you know, tone it down, but we'll see.
I think that's a noble gesture, but I actually don't like the fact that she tried to quantify it like that, because I feel that we don't know exactly by that year who needs to be in and who should be out, how many spaces will be available, and that's kind of like an empty number she's just throwing out there that we would appreciate, but I think we can speak more on it when it actually happens.
You've heard from us, now let's hear from you guys on campus. Sarah Litz has the scoop. Hey Sarah!
Hey Stacey, let's see what our Lions have to say about the Academy Awards.
I think it comes down to talent and who's best at playing the role, and if you know what you're doing, then you get the job, and if you don't know what you're doing, it sucks.
I don't think it's fair for outside viewers to accuse the Academy of being racist just because their selections happen to be what they were, that they happen to be a predominantly white selections. The Academy is built off of the best performance, and if the best performance it belongs to a certain person, then that person deserves to have that award.
I think if Will Smith and people like that aren't going, they'll probably make change just because they probably want the big stars coming.
I think the film industry has done a good job of becoming much more diverse over the years.
I don't think boycotting the Academy Awards will do anything in particular. I think money is what will change the Academy's minds. So people started boycotting the movies that they didn't like. I feel like that would send a greater message.
All right, LMU, you heard it here first. Back to you, Stacey.
Thanks, Sarah. Let's keep the conversation going about diversity. And thank you, Stevie, and thank you, Mary, so much for your insight. Don't forget to subscribe to Raw Studios, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Instagram. See you guys next time on Talk It Out.